All right. I think we should be cooking with the gasoline. Hi. How are you? How's everybody doing? Couple changes today. One, I'm broadcasting straight through YouTube today. And the reason that I'm doing that is that I realized that StreamYard is charging extra for me to have 1080p, and despite active efforts made on my part to improve my cameras, improve my lighting, get all that stuff in order, it's an additional $20 a month that I don't need. So I'm going right through OBS into YouTube, both of which are set at 1080p, and I'm a lot happier. Dee Dee Willingham helped me out with this yesterday, and thank you very much to Dee Dee, because I really appreciated that. But here we are. So Jen Wren's joined us. She says hi. How you doing, Jen? So I've got a couple of things that I'm shaking up. Hi, Linda. Linda's joined us as well. Linda Wren's. Thanks very much. If you're engaged in this and you're checking out the chat and you see any cool names in there, which they're all cool names, by all means, for goodness sakes, check out what they're doing. Say hello. So, okay. The boom boom juice. There we go. So, we're going to do a fun stream today, a little bit different. And then I got to go and shovel a lot. So, I've got it set up today to walk you through the page that we did yesterday, which I had a lot of fun doing. I'll switch to the overhead for a quick sec. There's the original art. And, I'm quite pleased by that. Some of the information that came about in there, a lot of joy, a lot of fun to do. And, but this was graphite and paint marker. So, Jim's joined us. Hiya, Jim. Welcome aboard, sir. Okay, so now that we've looked at that, what I've got up on screen now is the finished page, which is about bees, moon bees. The suggestion yesterday was from Rachel Z. I'm in Canada. The moon, but it's bees. And that came from the London Comic Con when I had a box with a whole bunch of billets that you could fill out a suggestion, throw it in the box, have some candy, and I would work through those as I can. Now, I have about 40 of them that I've been working through since last September, and trying to figure out. The majority of what's left is licensed characters, and I can't do much with licensed characters, so, I'll do them as I do them and when I feel like doing them, but they might just be Patreon exclusives, which kind of beats the point, because the whole point is to share with the people that suggested it. And despite the fact I said, please don't make suggestions using licensed characters, because I can't use those. I got about 9 of them, so we'll get to them when we can get to them. But this was a crazy cool idea. The moon, but it's bees. So, why not? I just heard something about bees that has me terrified. The moon? Well, someone just proved that it's made up of bees. That's stupid, Ed. Any day they might attack. Perfect time for a bee to show up. And then for the other fellow to tell Ed that he thinks he needs a holiday. And the bee agrees. And if a bee agrees with somebody, you got to take that to heart. So, this is a fun page to do. You saw the original image. The original art is up on Patreon as well as the page, so you can see how I cut and chopped up the paper to make these nice clean border lines and things like that. So this was a lot of fun. Now, today, I've already put up the suggestion. I just picked it before I started, but the page for today is going to be a fun one. It's the suggestion is a creator evaluates the folly of his creation, and that's the suggestion I've got to work from. Now, I have this sheet of paper. Now, it's got some pieces of tissue paper on it. It's got a couple little bits of business, some matte medium, some gesso, but it's also got onion bag with this crazy texture. We can't see it, Chris. Well, here we go. So, this is I've scanned it into the computer, and you can see a little discoloration up in the top right, but let's get more impressive than that. So I scanned it and converted the what line art I could into darker values so that this stuff can pop up. And so some of this mixed media application that I was putting to this paper, I can build on, you know, and I can even enhance it a little bit more as I go to get some of that granulation in the surface and things like that. So I'm looking forward to it. Jim has a one-page suggestion I better write down. Get out of here. I meant to do it too. Deadpool fighting Pikachu with the Beatles music playing in the background while they're wearing naked gear. No. No. So the gist of today is that I'm going to take this pre-made mixed media application to a surface. I've scanned it into the computer, and I'm going to work on top of that. So one of the ways that I can do that is to I'm going to put a surface in behind here. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to condense these layers. And so I've got this layer here. So what I was going to do is sit down and put that up so that... Un momento. Can you see the marching ants? Oh, look at us moving. So the idea is that I'm going to walk you through this. Hi, Yolanda. Welcome aboard. So I've got these marching ants on the screen right now on a sub-layer so that we're going to see how this works for us. And we're going to try out some different colors and see what allows us to make... I kind of like that first blue. I don't know about you, but I loves it. And we're going to play a little bit with some of the surfaces. So I've got multiple layers in the robot here. Right? Hello. Goodbye. Hello. Goodbye. Hi, Mariah. We're doing mixed media digitally today. I've got a couple announcements, one of which includes Mariah and Patricia. Well, a couple of which includes Mariah and Patricia. But just give me a second. So, yeah, so I've got this set up. Now what I can do is, I got notes stuck on my monitor. Can't see things because I'm trying to look under my notes. All right, so what I can do is, here we go. So you're not going to see some of my function screens come up on the computer because I can't figure out how to turn those on. But what I've got set up is a stroke key, and the stroke key allows me to enhance the line, and so it thickens up. It thickens up the line, so you can see as I turn it on and off. Ooh, it's a little bit shinier, Chris, but that's right. So if I take away all these other things and I do that again, we've got pretty line now on the outside of this level, right? And then as I come through and I hit it again, what just happened? So there's the start of things. Now I can also do the same thing by taking this other layer. It's the same information on there. It's saying one person's watching, and I know that's not true. Well, you know, I never understand the robots ever. Everybody knows that. So I've done the same thing. Oops, I'm going to step back once. Here again to this layer that has no border on it, okay? And so now I've beefed up that black line, and I'll do it one more time so you can see it. So you can see all this, the specks and things like that are on there. And but what I can do to make it even more interesting is to put a little white layer, little halo on there. Which is super keen. All the cool kids are doing it. Okay, so there we've got this, you know, this wonderful spattering of value now. So I've still got all these other layers. So if I lay this blue information that I scanned over top of that, and I'll show you a little piece of fun with this, is that I can take it off of off to the side. I can move it around. I can place it somewhere else. So now I'm getting a halo effect and things like that. There's so many fun things that can be done with this, but what it allows us to do is to build up this sort of level of sophistication in our image processing, so that, you know, we can pull information in and out. Like if I've made a new layer, and if I want to come in said layer and create a yellow panel, and then, you know, subsequently put down some more of these panels, you know, I'm able to do so. And it's kind of, again, it's just sort of taking shapes, taking stuff, and you're just modifying and modulating some of the information you have on your screen by trying to use some of these various tools that you see listed along the left side of the screen. And the benefit of that is that it really lets you play. And because these things are on their own specific layers, you can do things in your playing. Like I can, you know, use the stroke key to put a border on that sucker. A nice thick black border. You know, if I want to not do it in that way, if I want to add it up higher and have the border on its own layer, then I can do that as well. Right? I just have to set the marching ants to the shape that I want it. And I'll just copy that and paste it over there and make it thicker. So, and then I can turn this on and off as I like. You know, so it's really pushing and pulling the different things that we can do in the surface area that we have laid out. I like that kind of thing. I think it's a lot of fun. It seems at first to be really complex, and it seems at first to be really challenging in the sense that, well, you're not entirely sure where it's going and what's going to happen with the finished image once you lay it on top, right? But then I can also I can compress a lot of these images. I can flatten them down, you know, so that I can control what I'm doing with those. I can change the opacity of the colors as I'm applying them, so that if I want to, let's say I'm going to overlay a shape here, and I'm going to choose a different color. You can see it appearing, the new color down in the left side, down at the bottom of that list of tools. But if I change my opacity and I drop that back, can you see that? I don't know if you can see that number dropping right now. So that when I come in with that now, so now I've got these sort of value screens, which is really similar to thin glazes or thin washes. You know, Jen asked, is this is Photoshop, right? Yes, this is Photoshop, but this is Photoshop from 2010 because I refuse to pay a monthly fee for Photoshop. So I have an old school version that, because I bought the disc a long time ago, and I have it on keys, I have it on my external hard drive, I have it on my computer. I'm not going to lose this program. I refuse to. And I've got a new computer, I put it on a new computer. Because, again, Photoshops could be upwards of $80 a month. American. It's like $1,000 Canadian. Anyhow. Okay, so, let me catch up here. If I said hi to everybody, if I haven't said hi to you, I apologize for that. This is what I like about using Procreate, Yolanda says. And the the different programs have all these same sort of applications, right? And it's impressive that we can take these digital screens and these digital pages, we're going to call it, right? And be able to manipulate them and alter them and change them up, similar like we do traditionally. It's a real learning curve. It is, with anything else, any tool. There's different levels of sophistication we can develop ourselves up to with practice. But experimentation is king, right? You got to just give it a shot. But Procreate, Photoshop, there are alternate programs that are the same as these that are generic off-brands that you can find the names for, and if anybody has those and wants to share those with others, please do. But yeah, there's so much that we can do with this. Jim says, I just got my first yearly renewal for the Adobe Animate software. Let's just say that this will be the last renewal. Oh my, it sounds like it's expensive. So if you have an opportunity to play with an art program, something that gives you more versatility than just different kinds of pencils, because there are a great deal of them that are just different kinds of pencils and marker, paintbrush that you can use. Try it. Give it a shot. So the other fun thing about putting a screen down, a layer like this, is that I can now come in and adjust the size to be whatever I want it to be. I can lay it down. I can decide to flatten that. But I can also come in, with another tool. It's called a lasso tool. And I'm going to cut pieces out of this. Like so. Just give me a second. And remove these pieces that I've just highlighted. You can see the marching ants there, but now they're gone. So now I've got this screen level that it's got this random shape. Bearing that in mind, you can make that screen level the shape of pre-existing images. So there's all kinds of stuff to do in and of that. I'm going to drop this heavy opaque layer down, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to compress this silly business right here into one layer now. So this is all one layer. This information that's the only things that aren't is the blue and the white base. But now I can alter this in and of itself, and that's kind of fun. Mariah says, thankfully we get our CS suite through our business. Well, that's ideally the way to do it, is if you have a setup that you can write it off, or that you can cover it as a governing expense for all the different parties in your business place to utilize. And if you got more than just you, yeah, it's practical to spend X amount of dollars a month, especially if it facilitates a great deal of things that you do, right? But for independent illustrators, unless you're accommodating that expense with X amount of work, it can be a lot. Bearing in mind that I'm very cheap. So, we use both Illustrator and Photoshop. I like how you call them marching ants. I'm old, that's what we do. So, I'm going to take this off for the time being. I'm going to put the blue up. The blue scan that I had there. I've got a copy of it as well, that if I overlay him back with the original, so now it's darker, and I can compress these two crazy cats into one layer, so it's just going to be this opaque now. All right, so I'm going to set myself up with a pencil that is my favorite color. Okay, it's an olive green. So what this is going to allow me is, if I make a new layer for this, and I've got this drawing pencil. Now, what this is going to allow me, it says lifting his chair up. Okay, I gotta move my sweater. Is to draw on the screen with this digital pen so that we can start to build up our composition this way. Now, I can also change the size of the screen, and I'm going to do that so that people can see what it is that I'm doing. I just want to make sure I'm caught up with chat. And thank you very much, everybody, for coming out. I hope that the picture quality is dramatically better than it has been. Thank you again to Didi, who joined me last night. I was just trying to figure it out myself on YouTube, and Didi jumped in and said and started just walking me through stuff. I had to put OBS back onto my computer. I had to adjust all kinds of settings in multiple programs. But I thank you so much for putting up with what you did for the last so many weeks. Yolanda says, and this is an awkward statement out of context of these artsy types that we are. Mariah, I'm giving my 12 by 14 jelly plate a baby oil massage. Okay, so, all right, so I'm going to make the screen larger. I can do that by going up top. You can see, ideally, the blue highlight at the top of the screen there, and which is me increasing the size of the zoom. So I'm going to pull right in on this, and you can see it a lot clearer now. Some of this fun information, like this lattice pattern that's there, and that is the bag that you get your onions in on paper. So we've got some space here. I'm on a new layer. Okay, so I'm going to take these marching ants, and there you go. That's for you, Yolanda. And I'm going to make a shape. I'm going to find a shape, and that's what we're going to start our panel with. Now, it doesn't, I'm going to use the stroke function, put that down. I'm going to be really cheeky here and put one more layer above this, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so now as I'm on my pencil, and there's all kinds of tools that I can utilize in my pencils. I have a number of different types of brushes and stuff like that, and you can download these things and put them into, Procreate has brushes. You can make your own. Illustrator, I'm sure, is the same thing. I know for a fact that this is, Photoshop is, and you can change the size of your brush. You can change the type of mark that it makes. So I have a brush similar to a flat paintbrush, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with, I'm going to reduce the opacity on my brush down to half, so that every mark isn't just a solid color. Okay, Chris. And so today's suggestion, which is, he says, looking at his note, a creator examines the folly of his creation. And thank you to Larry C. I don't put people's last names, but thank you to Larry C. And a lot of times I don't know people's last names for the suggestion anyhow. So, working digitally today for me is really not too much different than working traditionally. I have a 12-inch by 18-inch monitor, which, if I turn it on its side, is the same size of a screen as one of these bad boys. It's a flat glass plate, right, for me to draw on. So, just wiping my screen out. It gets a little dusty. It's a lot dusty. Okay. Mariah says, size matters. Yes, it does. You're not allowed to say it does or it doesn't, but I have to say it does, and I live in a city of almost 500,000, and I have to drive to the exact opposite corner of this city from where I live in order to find shoes that fit me, because not a lot of places carry a selection of size 15. So size can matter. Anyways, okay. But it also helps you to see things clearer the larger the screen that you have. This is why I can't really use a tablet, because I am gorilla-sized. Sorry. So I'm just going to start coming in and laying in our creator type, and I'm going to have him amused. So I'm just finding shapes in the face. This is less, I'm less concerned about lines than I am about shapes. And so this is on a different layer than the border, and it's on a different layer than everything else. Okie doke. Okie doke, Chris. So I'm just cutting out some of the marks that are going to make up the basic composition of his face, and then we'll go from there. But you know, it's feeling it out and playing with the marks, and of course there is the ability to erase out your marks in Photoshop and any other drawing program for those that aren't aware. And I'm sure the majority of people that are here are all probably aware. So, but much like when I'm working with whatever mark making tools, I like to remove as much as I put down, even when I'm working in this regard. So right, what do we got? Lock those other layers. Nothing more annoying than working on a layer you didn't want to. See, I don't lock them. I have the layers screen open, and I have them all in front of me, so I know what's what. And oftentimes, I haven't done it today, but oftentimes I'll name the layer so that I'm being consciously active about it. But you're right. Locking those layers down or compressing them, like I explained before, saves you from drawing on the wrong thing, and then suddenly all this blue information that I have on my screen here, I've just drawn over it and wrecked it. So don't you hate when you think you're working on one layer? Yolanda's saying the exact same thing. Yeah, there you go. You jinxed each other. Okay, so now you just made me double check my layer. I'm neurotic enough. I don't need help. Okay, so I'm not overly concerned about, you know, my line work here, because we're building up our image, we're building up our composition and breaking down where we want our marks. Cut down that. So now I'm coming in with the eraser, and I've reduced the opacity in that in order to chop back some of my marks here. So now I can start coming in and roughing a little tighter the image that I have here. In addition to that, and so it's just a matter of switching between the two tools. Now, I've shown this before. I'll show it again. I have a 9-button device called the Vaydeer, V-A-Y-D-E-E-R, right? Already here, V-A-Y-D-E-E-R. How did I not make an E? Yolanda says, I don't think you can name layers and lock them in Procreate, but I could be wrong. I'm not familiar with Procreate. I'm sorry, I can't help there. So this is a 9-button unit, like it looks like so. Right? Pretty basic. And it says Vaydeer right here at the bottom. And so each of these buttons I have programmed to do different functions. So I can switch between tools without having to touch all these different places on my screen in order to save my arm. There's a lot to be said, by the way, for how you have your arm when you're working on a digital tablet. And so those of you that know, you know. Look at that magic. Okay, so I've got my guy started to come in here. I think I'm going to give him, we're going to give him a dapper hat in honor of Paul Pete. So the challenge that I'm finding is that without going through StreamYard, and I'll have to figure this out if it's possible, but I can't announce my streams before they happen now. So here's something fun, folks. I'm going to grab this and move it down. And there's the marching ants all over it. It's because I just put a box of marching ants around the image, and I got a hold of it with the transform thing, and I pulled it down to be more in the composition. You know, and I can do this again, where, you know, I'm going to raise it up a little bit. Okay, so now that I've got my ragamuffin of a creator here, I can fix his hat a little bit. Oh, and the music I'm listening today is Interpol. That's right, the police company. But it's a band. That's not the police. That's a different band. Also a different police organization, though technically Interpol is the police. Is that complicated enough for folks? So you notice how I'm drawing and erasing over this line, but the line of the border with the hat here, but the border line doesn't disappear, and that's because it's a different layer, right? That's right, Chris. So, you know, so I'm just going to put somebody said that I should record this and then I can speed it up, and I'm like, I don't know, do I really need to? I suppose if I'm doing it as a video, maybe, but I draw fairly fast. So here's another fun effect that you can do with your layers. I put my keyboard too far away, and I need my shift button. Can reduce down the scale of the drawing so that it can fit it better into my plans for the page. So, you know, that's just how I do. Let's see, what am I missing? Wait, say that again about being able to schedule. I'm not doing StreamYard anymore, except for when I have guests on the show, and I don't know how to schedule videos, live videos for YouTube yet. I have to learn. So if anybody knows, let me know. It's live videos is the challenge, and maybe it's based on how many people I have following. And I'm really excited to say that as of last night, I've got 300 followers, and I thank you all very much. Okay, so I've added another layer on top, and with this layer on top of my penciled layer, I can now come in, okay, and put some flesh tone, and I can start to color my drawing. See? It's a different layer again. This is why I haven't compressed all my layers. I'm not working opaquely, and I'm not worried about covering over the penciled image. The reason I chose blue, or green, I'm sorry, is because who cares? You could just choose whatever color you like. I like the color green. It's pretty and I like looking at it. Also, I can fit some of that green into the portrait. So not that it's really a portrait, but you know what I mean. So some of these rough lines, like this extra line in the hat, doesn't matter. I can take it out like that. And the underlying value for this page so far is the blue. You said OBS in the Streamlabs. Is the Streamlabs? I have legit OBS. I have legitimate OBS that I run right into YouTube. so that I can control the cameras and I can control logos and images that come up on the screen, and I've still got Streamlab, but we have Streamlab Basic. So when I have people on to talk about art, which I'll announce in a minute, something exciting coming up, I can do that with them. But Streamlab keeps compressing my images down to 720 from 1050. Now it's one thing when it's just us talking, because that's not as impactful. The cameras on our faces, it's not as impactful on that as it is impactful on trying to pick up light values on paper. So that was driving me crazy. And I had Streamlabs desktop too, but you know. Do we have the Streamlabs desktop? Yeah, a desktop. Yeah, I have the Streamlabs desktop as well. I don't do anything on tablets, by the way. It's all desktop. StreamYard is user friendly unless you want to control things. I love StreamYard. I just can't pay the $20-some-odd a month for the big fancy thing for the drawing part. But when it comes to talking and having interviews and our faces in camera, it's great. But when it comes to showing, because I work too light, is the reality of it. I work really too subtly and it just blurs it out. So only 720p. I stream from my phone, so it works for me. Oh, well, there you go. Okay, so, oops, that's a hat. What am I doing? And Jim says, I think that's fantastic, the growth of your channel. I always do what I can to spread the word. Well, thank you very much, and thank you to all of you that are doing that. StreamYard. I'm sorry. I'm on StreamYard. Not Streamlabs. StreamYard is what I'm on. Well, not right now, but Yolanda says, good thing I'm heavy-handed. SD folks were kind of shifty about naming their company. Oh, yeah? Oh, sounds like some saucy hot goss. Okay, so I am just changing up values as I go and roughly putting in tones into my drawing. Now, I know that the drawing goes over the edge, the borders that I established for this guy. I don't care. I did it on the purpose. I can make the brush larger if I like. And as long as I maintain contact, it's letting me the tone stay consistent. But look, it's Paul. I'll clean up the edges. I'm not overly concerned about them. I'm just worried about coverage right now. I know it's a sort of, other people are much cleaner in their application, but I don't know if you've painted on canvas or board or anything like that, but it's just about getting value coverage on your surface first, and then you build up from that. So, let's see, folks. Look it up. It really is. Oh my. We already had set up our stuff, so it wasn't going to be something we're going to change. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, so I'm going back in to this color layer, and I'm putting some value hits into areas where I've got some of the shadow in the face. And it's just try to think about, when you're doing this part, just if you have to, some people have a mirror in their studio. That's a terrifying prospect for me. But there is benefit for people looking in a mirror and seeing how the light hits their face, you know. And it informs us about how to look at the different planes in the face. I was talking about this last night in this random late night stream I did yesterday. But so I haven't changed the size of my brush or the opacity. I'm still at half. But like I said, I'm just chopping in large shapes into the face, and then we'll clean it up and blend it a little nicer. Other people would consider this maybe an extra step, but you got to do whatever works for you, right? Right, Chris. Oh, you got deep voices. What am I missing? I said hi to everybody. Hey, Miriam, how you doing? I'll show you something on another layer here. Another way of looking at this is I'm going to okay, so if this, I'm on a different layer, it's okay, everybody deep breath. If we look at the face as shapes, okay, and then there's, so if we start looking at the shape and the structure of it, it sort of informs us of a whole bunch of different things about how we see people. So when you see that there's all these different planes in the face, and this is a really quick and sloppy version of doing this. But when we start thinking about a face like this, it tells us when we're applying shadow, when we're applying line to this, and then if we go down here, and then there's this down to the coccyx, and we have the clavicles across here, so on and so forth. You can define and break down a person's form into planes like so. And so if I take out these, and now you see the shape of the head, right? Hey, there we go, that worked. So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about all the different angles and planes in a face. Okay? So that's just another way of interpreting it. So we're going to go back to our way of doing it. Where was I? Yeah, white. So I'm not working from reference here. I looked at a quick thumbnail over in the corner and pulled this guy off the thumbnail, but that has disappeared off the screen, and that's okay, because now we're going from our own information in our heads about what values we want to apply to them, and what what way we want to interpret our character from our own imagination. And we're just picking colors that we know are within the face and working those in. Why am I getting pointed lines? Because I'm using the wrong brush. Right layer, wrong brush. What am I missing? Oh no, Miriam, I'm sorry you have a migraine. Jen says he's looking like a villain now. Oh, Mariah's listening in the background. Well, in that case, let's sing a song, everybody. Okay, so an announcement. Mariah, do you mind if I make an announcement? Why is he asking Mariah if he's allowed to make an announcement? Thumbs up. Okay. Wednesday. Next week on Wednesday, Mariah and Patricia will be joining me on the stream at 2 o'clock. And we're going to be talking about art and process and their journey and application and how they approach their work and you know, I'll babble on about my stuff as well. But I'm really looking forward to it. And just to let everybody know in advance, Wednesday next week at 2 o'clock. EST. So I'm not sure what, I think that's 1 o'clock in Texas, maybe? Or 12 o'clock in Texas? But 2 o'clock. The same time I do whatever I do here. I have to watch a replay of that. It sounds fun, says Yolanda. Oh, cool. Yeah, so I don't know if you make notes for things like that, but please feel free to think about some ideas to ask and some thoughts about journey. And both these ladies are really, well, I'm sure everybody here knows. And if you don't, please go check out PM Artist Studio because they're very talented. And I'm really looking forward to having them on the stream and chatting. And then I've got some people I'm sending out requests to come and hang out as well. So the only reason I'm keeping StreamYard is to have people on the thing. So until they learn how to announce in advance that I'm going to be doing when my streams are going to be, which are always at 2 o'clock on Monday to Friday, I'm just going to have to give verbal word of mouth for the time being. Except for next Wednesday, I'll be promoting that one properly. Getting the link over to the ladies. So I'm going to pull in closer, and you can see some of the chops of different values that I've been playing with here. And I hope that this is helping in order to see playing with that complexity of these different planes that I laid out, right? So, you know, and I still got this fun details underneath. The only challenge that I have with, you know, this is that I have to consider and think about if I can put some of that texture in over top. And what I've done is I've just copied that texture layer and thrown it over top at the on top of the stuff that we've already illustrated. I can leave that there and continue to color the face over above it. I'll show you that in a second. Let me catch up with the chat. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock, says Mariah. So 1 o'clock Texas time period. What is that? MST? I'm not sure what it's. But 2 p.m. EST, everybody. Paul Pate, welcome aboard, sir. We can. Yesterday, Yolanda still have 2 devices. Well, there you go. Paul's saying hi to everybody. Everybody's saying CST. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mariah. It's 1 p.m. CST, 2 p.m. EST. Making a note. Look at that. I heard Mariah telling P today that she was pleased that she was making notes. And I'm like, I've been making notes lately. And Lori said the same thing to me. Okay, so I've put this textured layer in between what I've painted so far and this new layer that I put on top. So now when I come in and I put some marks in, it's incorporating that texture into the composition. So when I compress this, it's going to put the lines across the face within it. So this is how, in my head, boop, boop, I can incorporate some mixed media elements into a digital drawing. is by looking at it via the layers. So, I hope that makes sense to folks. But these marks that I'm making now are above the layer that has the blue crisscross pattern. Hiya, Marguerite. Welcome aboard. Why is he in jail? Again, it's a texture that I've put in. It's underneath the what I've painted so far, but I can also put another layer that's like in between the two, and the marks that I'm putting down now are above that layer, so it's going to blend it all in, right? But also because, like Marguerite says, he did a bad thing. He knows what he did. I haven't changed the opacity, and the brush size is at a 10. So, okay, so here's a couple more announcements. In order to build up some fun until PNM are joining me on Wednesday, tomorrow I will be doing a suggestion from Mariah, and I'll be doing it on a heavy, like a heavy grade cardstock on a really dark blue one, and I'll be working white on a dark surface. So I'll be working in negative tomorrow, and then it's a great suggestion involving the Twilight Zone and unicorns and more. And then so that's our Friday. I just had to remember what day it was. And then on Monday, I will be working on a suggestion from P, and I'll be doing that in pencil crayon with some watercolor. So I'm really looking forward to stuff coming together here, and I hope that people feel welcome to come in and join us. Okay, now I'm pushing the opacity down so that it's far more transparent application as I'm putting in this green, because as much as I want the green in there, I don't want it to be as strong a value as the others. But if you look at the complexity of our skin, no matter what pigment our skin is, there's a whole bunch of different colors in there that we might not necessarily realize at first. So, and then by putting the green into spots, it allows a little push and pull of surface. That sounds great, Chris. What does it mean? I don't know. What am I missing? I have to get going. Thanks for streaming, Christopher. Have a great day. Thanks very much, Yolanda, for coming by. It's great. Pull to the pate. Jim de Lujan. Oh my gosh. There's a cathedral in Lujan, Argentina, and I think it's also a prison. No comment on that one. Some people have different associations of places. Running with a hat, no trousers. Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay, so this is inspired by Paul, by the way, this composition. So, and this is one way of putting these marks down. I'm going to show you another way, and this is a drawing tool that lets you grab an entire area and use the marching ants, Yolanda, and then you can come in with your paint bucket and fill said area in like so. So that rather than having to, and it's called the lasso tool that I'm using. So then rather than having to draw and go over that area, you know, in a longer drawn out process, I just short stepped it there by utilizing that tool. And it's also a great tool that you can use to chop in all the major colors that way. But I like finding the colors as I go, so I tend not to. So the color that I'm using now is called, it's going to tell me? No. Well, yeah, alright, well, this is basically vermilion, which is one of those Zorn palette colors that I've told people about. So now I'm putting in the concavity of the eye, right? We have this plane right here. That's what I'm chopping at. There's something weird on the side of the hat. Are you talking about this? Or are you talking about this? Because that's this. That's on purpose. It's all part of my very cunning plan, Paul. Oh, Miriam, I'm sorry. I thought I read Paul above. Could be dangerous. So then the next question becomes, how smoothed out do I want this? Is that necessarily a really big important part for me or not? Because at a certain point you gotta stop coloring in one specific spot unless you're going to have that level of complexity through the entirety of your image. Okay, so let's come in with, I'm going to tighten down my line, punch up my opacity, let's put some hair in. Important message above. Oh my goodness. The right of the character, side of the head, meeting the hat. Yep. Or is the important message above, Paul, danger is my middle name. That's what Miriam said. Are you talking about this line? Well, that is a border layer. Whoops, hold on. That is the border for the panel. So if I pull back, I have the character coming out from the frame that I've established for him. And as I paint this in, it'll cover up that line. And whatever it doesn't cover up, I'll just step on that layer and erase out those lines from behind our guy. So he is moving outside the confines of the panel. Right? Nothing to fix. It's all part of my very cunning plan. Okay? So now that I've pulled out, it gives me a different perspective on the image. Lets me relax a little bit about the marks that I'm putting in. And feel more comfortable about where I've taken the image. One more. That's me just stepping back on the marks that I'd made. It's all part of my cunning plan, folks. That's why people call me Whiskers, because I got plans. That makes sense to you? Let's talk. So I can also come in here and erase out marks since I found the right layer. And tighten up lines around the face. What am I missing with the conversation? Mariah says, that is how I live life outside the confines of the lines. Ha! Miriam says, the hat needs to be lower on the right. Not if he wears it high. Outside the lines, I like it. Never mind, now with the hat, it's less noticeable. Maybe this guy went out in a hurry. Or he's wearing a slouchback hat from the 1930s. It's all relative, folks. So as I come in now, and I'm pushing back some of these marks that I made, dapper looking fella. Alright. And I've still the ability to take this in or out, right? So certain spots I'm pushing that value back. So it doesn't need to be overwhelming. But I'm not removing it. Where are we at? I hope Paul's like, this guy's a fat head and his head doesn't fit. The struggle's real. We'll get there. I just really haven't touched the hat yet, folks. It's just, as soon as you start putting in certain lines, the dynamic of things changes, right? That's the challenge about in the midst of process, right? Is that we're never really sure where it's going to go. Where are we at? Okay, just a bit of weird coincidences. You were talking about your upcoming work in dark blue to white and painting a background in negative dark blue to white. Good for you. That's awesome. Love to see that. It's for the February Color Challenge. Oh, is that right? Okay, great. Miriam needs to see me drawing. You are seeing me drawing. You don't get to see my hand move because I don't know how to make that magic happen. Cheryl, you might be behind in this dream. Thank God for the medicines. Migraine's gone. Maybe for your company is the best medicine. Very nice of you, Miriam. That's very nice of you to say. I was just painting when he said it. Decided to chime in anyways. Do you know Dear Liza? Dear Liza? Okay, so now this is an off blue, so I'm looking for okay. So I'm going to push my opacity up. I'll change this up in just a second. There we go. He's pretty. What am I missing? Okay. I seem to every time. I do know Liza and Henry too. There's a hole in a bucket, dear Liza. See, that's where I thought you were going. I saw that song in a musical comedy on YouTube. Great interpretation. It was a lot of off-Broadway theater. Well, fix it, dear Henry. I think you forgot my lame reference. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Okay, so I'm going to keep on with this. So the brush that I'm using is still this chisel tip setting. And I'm listening to Interpol. I get quiet when I'm in the right in the zone. I apologize for that. Hat dude looks like he thinks we're funny. No, not lame. We're totally with you. Okay. Hat dude thinks he looks like he thinks we're funny. He does. Can you lower that hat? It's making me crazy. Great time to discover my OCD. No. It's a style of hat, folks. Somebody was commenting on how I say no the other day. What do you mean no? What do you mean? What do I mean no? So if I got a color that I've used and I don't want to search for it, I can just use the eyedropper and pick my color back up. Like so. Let me see, what am I missing? Miriam says, thank you so much for your consideration. It's not that I'm just, you know, it'll come together. It'll work out. It's that's the challenge of when we're watching other people's streams. There's always parts that are like, I would have done that different. Well, that's why you got your stream. And it's tough to course correct all the time. Because if we did that, depending on how many people are saying whatever they're saying, we'd be course correcting a lot. So the next panel, if this will help you, the next panel, let me do this for you. All right? Let's just, yeah, okay. So, in the next panel, you'll realize that the hat sits like so on his head. But in the meantime, you're like, why is he wearing it like that? Because he is. It's a type of hat. That's why. It's not meant as a slight, it's just, that's the challenge, right? Is when we're thinking, as we're doing something, whoops, oftentimes we've got steps ahead in our mind. And it's hard to espouse those to people when, you know, we're in that journey, in that process. What am I missing? I should mention it. Look at the coat and tie. That dude's a bit slumly. Could stand us. Tighten it up. There you go. I think he's drunk. Thank you. He doesn't sound drunk. You guys are wonderful. He doesn't sound drunk. Might be my favorite quote of the day. Well, let's tune in and find out. But yeah, he's drunk. Jumping ahead. That's funny also, by the way, a quick runner-up to that is, what a strange time to find out I'm OCD. I'll move the screen up so we can see it a little clearer. He doesn't sound drunk, makes me laugh. He looks about to burp or cut a fart. He looks awesome as always, Christopher, not paying attention as he looks drunk at karaoke. Pow! See, now we're all working on it. Now we're all thinking. got Radiohead playing in my ears now. So I made my brush larger to do that. Paul's got to go back to work. Thanks for hanging out, Paul. That dancing brush also drives me nutty. Dancing brush. Well, I'm sorry, folks. I'm not trying to make anybody nutty. I tend to just really work on the fly. Oh, this thing. How do I get rid of that? Is there a... Does that make it go away? Nope. Hold on. We'll get it. Trying to find out how to remove this, folks. Because it's aggravating me too. But I never really thought too much about that. Hey, we got it. It's gone. Sorry about that. Dancing brush. I just realized what you said. Christopher comment and all. I don't know how you didn't notice it. Oh, it's I'm zoned in. I'm focused in on what I'm doing. And I tend to be like that. Where are we at? No, 18. It's been fun. Oh, I'm teasing. Well, I don't mind eliminating stuff like that. Superfluous. That means that has no benefit to me. But I have never thought about it on the screen at all. Because I'm looking here. That's over there. So. So this is again just thinking about the planes now, but now I'm thinking about the planes of his clothing. And as we get to the lapel, so that when the lapel's on a flat surface, it works great. But as soon as we put another surface on an angle here, then the light is of course going to hit it separately, right? So flat, and then this angle is a choppy on a 45 down. So that's what I'm putting into, that's what these two different values are in here. And then of course we can divide a little angle there, and there's a little bit of a overlap there. But now I get to come in and cut this t-shirt into t-shirt, the dress shirt underneath. So we're going to have some shadow in here, and then we'll apply some shadow there, we'll apply some shadow there. We're all in it together here, folks. Where are we at? Didn't notice the brush, try not to wash it. I'm so sorry, you guys. Time for my dark chocolate of the night. You have to say it like this. The dark chocolate of the night. And now it's time for the dark chocolate of the night. A whole bucket. I thought the dancing brush was a bit fascinating. It seemed to have little to no correlation to what Christopher was actually doing. Maybe it's a delay thing. But I move really fast. My hand goes all over the place. Because while it looks like it's fairly static, there's a lot of adjustment happening here. And it's the angle that I'm at is a bit too much wrist here. And the reason for that is so that it makes sense for the stream. Normally I'll be distance back and actually drawing like so, but that puts me, hi everybody. So we're trying. So yeah, so I'm very excited about Wednesday. I'm very excited about tomorrow's page. I'm very excited about what is the was it Jen? Did you mention that you're doing something white on black? What are the colors for this month's? But I should, you know what? I should really go and look. So I'll show you what I was referring to earlier with the border layer, is that's what I'm on now. So some of that line that peeks through, I can remove. We know it was there, but the normies don't. And because it works with the way we're putting our image together, and as we're stitching these different layers in. Oops. But we've removed the border now from the image, so that's underneath our character. I still have that second border. Oops, I'm sorry. Look at that guy. Yeah. And I can adjust his size so that he fits into, you know, around this panel here. So, bearing in mind, spaces like, you know, up here, right, this can be text, this can be text, this can be text, this can be text. So, allowing these different areas, you know, in and around our character is going to give us a little bit of adjustment about where we're putting things. So I'm going to show you one more fun thing. And this is, I'll do this for Miriam and Paul. So I can change the shape of the hat. That's just for you kids. There you go. You can do that. You can grab a hold of places like so, and then there's a tool that lets you adjust where lines go, right? Lots of fun different ways we can do stuff. Salty's joined us. My chocolate's marijuana enhanced. Okay. The makers. Yeah, I have to look up the makers. Oh, the colors are chartreuse, terracotta, and turquoise. What is that in English? Yeah, I'll write it down. What color is chartreuse? I have to look up chartreuse. Turquoise is what I'll call green, blue. I'll call that brown. Those are great colors, though. Put text over the right side of the head. LOL. You have these colors in the drawing. Oh, well, there we go. We did it. All right, so there you go, Miriam. Okay, so here's our guy. This is our first panel. I'll pull back out. So in our first panel here, one of the things that I can do is compress this down, what I've got so far, and in the course of doing so, I mean, I've still got that. I'll remove that. Let me yeah, that's good. Okay, cut down some of my 60 layers I got going here. I don't have 60 layers, I'm being silly, but just cleaning up. All right, so now that I've got this set, like this first panel, sort of starting out my composition, okay, so I've got my secondary blue. So this one, I'm going to come through take that out there, and that way my notes are gone. So okay, good, I'm on 9. Just checking my layers. Let's see what I'm missing. It's way too late. Chartreuse is the lime green. Ooh, nice. I like that. Terracotta, I know. And then turquoise, I know. All right. Lime green. These are yummy colors. I like off colors. I like colors that have a little something different going for them. Okay, so now I've got this layer set up so that I can come in and clean up some of these marks that go outside of my border. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting the marching ants, and I'm putting them along that frame, and then I'm taking the eraser, so that isolates that I can only work within this frame. So that's how I'm able to go and erase inside that frame and clean up that edge. so that when you're seeing the image blow up, it's going to be a nice tighter, cleaner line around the outside of that. And yet at the same time, we've still got these textures and these shapes and things from underneath because there's that other layer. You know, so it's just playing and building up and adding and adding and adding, adding. So put text over the right side of the head. You have chartreuse line. Just make sure I'm caught up, folks. Okay. So that still allows me the availability of coming in. Just a sec, folks. And popping up a layer here, and I'm going to put that stroke in, that stroke function again in. So if I come with the eraser and I cut out our character, this is how we're able to, you know, tighten up our panels and give a sort of frame of reference for people to focus on for the dialogue for this guy. But, you know, it allows us to just shake it up, to shake up the way that we're going about putting the composition together, and find some fun ways to place our characters differently on the page than just static person in box every page. That's something that does drive me a little bit crazy, is when you see either a complete abandon of a frame of reference in compositions by storytellers, sequential storytellers, or the opposite therein of an absolute adherence to it, and it just sort of eliminates opportunities for themselves by doing it like so. Another thing that I can do is come here with our rectangular tool again, and I can take our image, and I can extend it down a little bit at the base. By just grabbing and dragging that lower. Why are you doing that, Chris? Well, I'll show you. So that now I can come in and remove the detritus of that. So I've got a nice clean line across the bottom. You know, it just little ways to clean up things, right? Chris likes breaking rules, a true artist. That's all I do is break rules. There's no such thing as rules. We're busy making. You know, if you're having fun, what are rules? You know, we can allow ourselves to try to stick to guidelines. Guidelines are good when working on something, but at the same time, don't let them hold you up from whatever direction that your creativity might take otherwise. I like that arm better. It still needs something. There it is. There we are. Foreshortening, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff, and I apologize for that. Not only are now only your characters are drunk, but they've been cut in half trick of a magician. That's great. That's great. Okay, so this is sort of a first approach to coming in and building up the page. There's take that off. No, that's good. Take that off. So it allows me to work up the elements together so that as I'm building up the page, as I'm building up the different bits of information on it, it lets me think of interesting ways in which I can put things together, interesting ways in which I can try to have some kind of creative language that lets me interpret this, whatever this narrative is, differently than the page that I just did before. So if I want to, oh, I see what I did. I'm on the wrong layer. See that? I just did it. I did it. Thank you. So here I'm putting in a couple of panels this way now, and just sort of charging myself with having to tell the narrative in whatever way so that it works from here he is looking down at the people below or whatever it is. I can put a planet that, if he's got a playground of toys or whatever before him, or he's just drunk guy imagining all kinds of critters in an alleyway, whatever it is, whatever the way I go about putting together the narrative based on the suggestion of a creator examining the folly of his creations. I mean, it allows me a whole bunch of things. Here's an alcoholic guy sitting on the floor in an alleyway looking at these delusions that he's having play out on the alleyway floor in front of him, and big explosion, and then the last panel is this guy in the alleyway going that fulfills an arc of a narrative. Is it a happy dappy story? No, but it allows us to fulfill a narrative arc, and in doing so, it sort of changes the game up a little bit in how we're looking at these compositional elements as we put them together. Like the panels that we've just drawn, if I come in and I reduce this panel down a little bit. Now, because it's compressed with a bunch of the scan material that we have, so when I come in with this one and I do the same thing where I'm going to move it around, or I can flip it. Why not flip it over? And so now I've got the same information, but I've got it, in a different layout on the page, in a different direction on the page. I can turn it sideways. I can take parts of it like this, and I can pick those up because, like I showed you before, and drop them someplace else, so that there's all of this more interesting and more dramatic information down on the surface of the page itself. That's my note. What's that? That's those borders. So it's just playing. It's just building up and seeing what it gives me to utilize in order to try to incorporate these scanned elements into the page itself. But there's no part of anything that I'm working on, it's digitally, that means I have to stay at this scale. It means I have to stay at this direction of how to lay out a page. Because the wonderful thing about scanning, especially scanning original art, or the wonderful thing about working on layers here, is that I can resize all these elements here. Just like when I scan the original art, I can resize parts of the original art, flip something over to a different direction. Let's say I have somebody talking to somebody else, and for whatever random reason, I've reversed the characters in a panel, and I realize it doesn't track because you're so used to this person being on the left and the other person being on the right. So I can horizontally flip that panel. The original art's still the way it was, but the new one is the right direction, right? So if you're going to try whatever programs you're going to try, go for it. make a mess, do things right or wrong, whatever, and really push it along, right? Allow yourself different shape language. The page that I did yesterday, I've got these circular panels on this page. There's panels sitting on top of panels. 1, 2 sits on top of the third, sits on top of the fourth. There's a space to the fifth, but that sits on top of the sixth. So there's this collapsing aspect of panels to the page. That's really all my thinking was on that one. With this one, I know for a fact that I want to introduce our principal character, whether I call him protagonist or not, I don't know. But Mariah says, looking good, gotta head out. Oh, thanks for hanging out, Mariah. Thank you very much. And I look forward to tomorrow and to next week, Mariah. Thanks once again. I'll announce it once more before I sign off here. So whatever it is, like the different pages that I've done this week, and I'll do this, I'll pull them up every now and then for my own self evaluation. But this is, the last few pages as I've posted them. You've got the Whirling Dervish page. That's 3 panels, but 4 actions, right? The Blimps is, it's 5 panels and an extra panel essentially overlapping. The bottom 2 panels and the image that are in front of them is 1 image spread out in this way just because we can, right? And Suspicious Traveler, there's a character and these characters fall in the sky, the stuff's falling out of the briefcase, his foot's hanging over into the first panel, just to try to push the idea that this is coming out of his head. This is really straightforward page of panels, So there's so many different ways that we can come at storytelling and illustration. And with the original art stuff, it's really fast and loose and easy for me to put information in with mark making. But when it comes to digital, it's a little more complicated in how to embed it. But I'm having fun. I hope that you've been having fun. We do what we want. We are the creators, says Miriam, and I appreciate that. That's a fantastic way for us all to look at it. Okay, everybody. I appreciate everybody coming and hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. I'm going to sign off for now and tighten this up a little bit. Today's suggestion is a creator examining the folly of his creation. Now, tomorrow I will be doing a page traditionally on heavy, like dark blue, heavy grade cardstock, and I will be drawing light on dark. Okay, so white on really dark blue, and so we'll get all kinds of fun blues to pull out of that. But and that's from a suggestion from Mariah. And then on Monday, I'll be working on a suggestion from Patricia. And on Wednesday, and both those streams will be at 2 p.m. EST. And then on Wednesday, Patricia and Mariah will be joining me in the stream here, 2 p.m. EST, to talk about art and process. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in for any of those. I might come on tonight. I don't know, but we'll see. In the meantime, I hope you have an awesome day and go and check out a really awesome stream or 2 today, or live your world and make some things and be who you are. But that's about it for me. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.